How do you win a game when no one wants you to? Not the fans.
So the internet turns on him, and instead of fighting it,
get out of my ring.
Leaned into it harder than anyone I've ever seen.
Not the internet.
Triple H is a toxic, extremely insecure, hyper-aggressive personality.
He used his penis for political purposes, for his career.
Not even the man who created the game himself.
A lot of people were coming to me, "Hey Vince, you realize what's going on here? You realize this guy's trying to sneak his way into the family and into the business, and you keep your eye on him, I don't trust him."
In 2014, at WrestleMania 30, Triple H opened the show against Daniel Bryan. The scrappy indie underdog the fans refused to let WWE ignore.
Did you people come here to see Triple H?
Triple H lost.
The yes movement has beaten the authority.
Bryan went on to win the title. The crowd got what they wanted. The system, the one Triple H had come to represent, had been beaten. He lost the match. He lost the crowd. He became the villain.
Triple H, I think that was the driving force of the screw job.
Now, it's more important for him to spit his water and do his pedigrees.
My husband and I are actually known as the authority, abusing our power left and right storyline.
The obstacle, the symbol of everything fans hated about modern wrestling. But nearly a decade later, that same man is deciding what wrestling looks like now.
Triple H is the head of creative for WWE.
I've been so impressed with Hunter since he's been in that role,
So maybe the story isn't about how he lost. Maybe it's about how he never stopped playing. This is how Triple H won wrestling. But to understand how he won, you have to understand why no one ever wanted him to. Triple H wasn't born into wrestling. No famous last name, no family connection, just Paul Levesque, a bodybuilder from New Hampshire.
Growing up as a kid, I played sports, baseball, little league, basketball, but the big thing for me was, was professional wrestling.
Obsessed with wrestling, watched Ric Flair tapes, studied them, wanted to be that kind of star. Technical, calculated, respected. He trained under Killer Kowalski, a legend from a stiffer era, unforgiving, no shortcuts. If you made it through his school, it meant something. Old school, brutal, legit. A lot of guys quit under Kowalski. Triple H didn't.
I fell in love with it the second I stepped in the ring. It's the most natural thing I've ever done for the first time in my life.
He wrestled in small gyms and local armories, helped set up the ring, took it down after, drove for hours just to make a little cash. This wasn't privilege, it was hard work.
As soon as I started, and I went and had 8x10 pictures made and worked on a resume that was just a sheet of lies about how great I was.
But when he finally got to WWE, they gave him a ruffled shirt and a fake accent. Hunter Hearst Helmsley, a cartoon aristocrat, lace cuffs, overacted bow, and fans rolled their eyes.
Hunter Hearst Helmsley!
You could tell he was highly motivated, horrible gimmick, but he knew within himself that he was better and he was going to achieve greatness.
Why does that matter? Because it planted the wrong idea, that he was handed everything. But that wasn't the truth. Behind the curtain, he was still grinding, still earning. And that's where the resentment started, the disconnect between who he really was and who people thought he was. He joined the Clique, a powerful backstage group of top stars, Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and X-Pac. They weren't just friends, they had influence. They controlled segments, protected each other, shaped the locker room. Triple H wasn't the leader. He wasn't even the star. He was the quiet one.
We would just sit in the car, 6-hour ride, and we wouldn't talk about anything but the business.
The one watching, learning, waiting, but from the outside, it looked like he was playing politics, like he was earning his push with loyalty, not performance. Then came the curtain call, 1996, Madison Square Garden. After the match, the Clique broke character. Good guys and bad guys hugged in the ring, unscripted, unforgivable at the time.
And we came out of that, and Vince, who's usually right there at the curtain at the Garden, wasn't there, and we walked through, and Pat just kind of shook his head like, not good. We were all like, ah.
Why? Because it broke kayfabe, wrestling's unspoken rule: protect the illusion. Paul and Nash were headed to WCW. Shawn was the champion. Triple H was the only one left to punish, so they buried him. He got squashed on TV, no promo time, no push, just silence.
Oh, man, I was there when he was in the doghouse for a very long time about that curtain call. You know, if you're friendly with Triple H, you're going to have heat with the office, that kind of bullshit.
He could have faded out right there, but he didn't. He kept showing up, didn't complain, didn't break rank, and a year later, he was king of the ring.
I remember Jim Cornette sitting at Vince McMahon's, living room table saying, his exact quote was, Triple H will never draw a dime in this business. He was such a student of the game, and he was so smart, bro, and so intelligent.
But that just raised more questions. How was he still rising? Why was he getting pushed? People started talking. He's close to Shawn. He's protected. He's untouchable. So when he started winning titles, it didn't feel earned. It felt arranged. He became the game, the cerebral assassin, the man who studied the business and used it like a weapon.
The game stemmed from an interview where the character felt that it was so invested in the business and it was such a connected part of his life that literally was him.
You guys talk about being students of the game. I am the game, JR. There is nobody that eats, sleeps, or breathes this business more than me.
But the crowd never truly bought in, because every time someone the fans believed in started to rise, he was there. Rob Van Dam, Booker T, CM Punk, guys with momentum, guys the fans wanted, and yet they kept losing to him. That's when the word burying started to follow him. Not just a heel, a gatekeeper, a roadblock.
When they make you a top guy, they put a gun to your head, and then everybody has the bullets. It's your job to just not let anybody put a bullet in the gun.
Then came the power move. He married Stephanie McMahon, the boss's daughter, and suddenly he wasn't just winning matches, he was sitting in on creative meetings, shaping storylines, earning Vince's trust.
And he came to me at TV and was like, "Did you start coming to production meetings?" You know, and I was like, "You think that's cool?" And he's like, "I don't care. Just come to the production meetings."
And for fans already skeptical, that sealed it. Triple H didn't beat the system. He became it. He leaned into the suits, the promos, the smug corporate villain, and eventually he gave it a name. The Authority, Triple H and Stephanie, standing in the ring, reminding fans they controlled everything. And in 2014, the fans finally pushed back. They chose Daniel Bryan, the complete opposite. Indie roots, smaller frame, bigger heart, the kind of guy WWE didn't want, but the fans refused to let go. They hijacked shows, hijacked the Rumble, chanted yes until the walls cracked. And Triple H, he stood right in the way. WrestleMania 30, New Orleans, opening match. Triple H versus Daniel Bryan, the villain versus the people's choice. And here's what no one expected. He lost, clean. No interference, no tricks. He put Bryan over. Bryan won the title. The crowd exploded. The system had been beaten. The fans had won. And Triple H, he walked to the back. He lost the match. He lost the night. He lost the narrative. But maybe that's what he wanted all along, because while Bryan had the moment, Triple H still had something else. The system, the structure, the long game, and he was still playing it. He lost the match, but he didn't lose control. While the crowd was celebrating, he was still building, because for years, behind the scenes, Triple H had already been working on something else. A quiet project, tucked under the main roster, overlooked, undervalued, and completely his. They called it NXT. At first, nobody cared. It was developmental, a place for rookies to fail before they mattered. But Hunter saw something else. A blank slate, no baggage, no Vince.
I just look at NXT and the developmental system. And when we started that in the studio, in the warehouse with my brother training guys, and to where it is now is amazing.
He started scouting talent, indie names, international stars, guys the main roster would have never touched.
Before I got into NXT, I was doing independent wrestling. But you come here and it's a whole new world.
And instead of repackaging them with new names and gimmicks, he let them be themselves. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Finn Balor, Asuka. He gave them space, gave gave them time, gave them purpose.
I don't care if your entrance takes 3 minutes, man. Take your time. Like, whatever you want to do.
And slowly, the crowd came with him. Takeovers sold out, storylines paid off, work rate mattered again.
People were excited for NXT. People love NXT.
It wasn't about size. It wasn't about being marketable. It was about respect.
I felt like we can be more than just developmental.
NXT's punk rock. NXT's the underground.
It's like this underground layer of the WWE that no one should know about, but everybody wants to know about it.
It has like that independent feel.
Triple H built a world where wrestling, not entertainment, was the point, where emotion came from the fight, not the script, and fans, especially the hardcore ones, loved it.
Oh, I was unbelievably aware of the crowd, and I want to be like, thank you to each individual member, but I can't. So I'm just, I love you. I love you all.
I don't think we could have done better.
Great night for me personally, but more importantly, great night for NXT. This is just the beginning of a very bright future for a brand new brand.
But they didn't love him, because even as NXT thrived, the internet still hated Triple H. They gave credit to the talent. They praised the coaches. They treated him like a silent investor, just the guy who signed checks.
People want to say what they will, but these are people that have never met him, that have never been around him and watched him work from the inside.
But that's what made the play so smart. He let the brand speak for itself. No promos, no speeches, no spotlight.
Before Hunter and Stephanie were Hunter and Stephanie, on the back was one of the first guys to show up at the beginning. He was sitting in on production meetings. He was offering up ideas. He has been a student of the business from day one.
Just results. He was still the game, still playing for control, but now he was doing it quietly, and nobody saw it coming until it was all taken away. But not every long game ends in victory, because just when it looked like NXT had changed wrestling, it got taken away. No announcement, no tribute, no closure, just a press release. New logo, new name, new direction, NXT 2.0.
It sort of came a bit quick, obviously, unexpected, but I think we had probably 3 weeks and we didn't have a whole lot of information. And by the time we got the information, it was coming down to the last week. And
Gone with the dark entrances, dramatic storytelling, and indie underdogs. In came neon lights, flashy gimmicks, and bigger athletes.
So he wanted to change the look, the feel of NXT. He wanted to feel like NCAA type stuff.
Because in 2021, after years of trying to compete with AEW on Wednesday nights, NXT had lost the ratings war.
And people put so much pressure on this competitive wars. It never was that. Look, first of all, they beat our developmental system. Good for them.
To Vince, that meant the vision had failed, and now it was his turn to fix it. He handed control to Bruce Pritchard.
This is going to be a Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard production.
And what had started as a wrestling-driven brand was reimagined as a developmental show again. Flashier, simpler, safer.
I don't know that I necessarily agreed with all of them, but the brand turned into something else, different from what the original intention was. Part of that was success of it. Part of that was pandemic. That massively changed what it was, massively changed where it was headed and what it would become.
And just like that, everything Triple H had spent a decade building was over. No more takeovers, no more long arcs. Call-ups from NXT were fizzling out, and fans who once loved it, now they called it dead. For the second time in his career, Triple H had been erased by the system he helped create. And this time, he didn't even fight it, because as the rebrand happened, his heart gave out. Triple H suffered a sudden cardiac event in late 2021. He disappeared from TV, stopped going to shows. For months, no one even knew if he was okay.
For him to go from 100 miles an hour to nothing was an adjustment.
The man who once outworked everybody was forced to stop. The silence was loud. In his absence, Vince continued reshaping the company. NXT was no longer his. The vision, the talent pipeline, the culture, gone.
It's like ripping a Band-Aid off. It was very sudden. And that's that to your fan base, that's very tough.
What was once the most exciting brand in wrestling had become another WWE product, and online, people started writing his legacy like it was finished. Even his supporters didn't know if he'd ever return, because for the first time in 25 years, he wasn't playing the game, he was watching it from the outside.
I didn't know I was going to be the one having to do everything. I was going to hopefully assist Hunter.
And if wrestling was a game, Triple H had lost. But sometimes, the game changes without warning. In July 2022, Vince McMahon resigned. Decades of control gone overnight. No retirement tour, no on-screen farewell, just a press release.
Vince McMahon, the infamous founder of World Wrestling Entertainment, has resigned as executive chairman of its parent company and says he's stepping down out of respect for the WWE universe.
WWE was under investigation. Allegations, payouts, pressure, and suddenly the most untouchable man in wrestling was out.
Just after a month after the Wall Street Journal reported McMahon dished out hush money totaling $12 million to silence current or former WWE employees.
I think the feeling was that with the investigations against him, by the SEC and maybe a federal probe, that he had to go.
For the first time in company history, there was a power vacuum, and when the dust settled, Triple H was standing in it. No promo, no coronation, just a quiet headline.
He is the new head of creative for WWE. Of course, he's also the EVP of talent relations.
The same man fans once accused of burying talent was now in charge of building it.
Triple H is here. Stephanie McMahon's here. These are two great minds of the business. As I was going through it, I would always go over to Triple H and I would ask him different questions, and he's always had an answer for me.
Backstage, you could feel the shift. Wrestlers talked about structure, stability, trust.
Triple H has a tireless work ethic. Great at the small details and great at seeing the big picture in itself as well. So that I just have a Rolodex of basically the smartest minds in wrestling in my back pocket.
Yeah, for sure. Under Triple H, there's no question that in the week-to-week stuff and how you execute, there is far more freedom as a performer. You're asking me that, so you sense it, and I think the fans definitely sense it.
More creatively fulfilled now than I have been in a long time in WWE, and it feels good just kind of going out there and expressing yourself a little bit more freely as a heel. The reins are off a little bit, and I'm enjoying it again.
There was no overcorrection, no big reset, just focus. Mid-card titles started to matter again. Long-term storylines were back. The matches got longer. The wrestling got better.
They're a massive pair of shoes to fill with this team that we can do it. Not an inkling of doubt.
He didn't try to be the face of it. He just let the product speak.
I feel more comfortable and confident in myself in a way because I know that Triple H knows exactly who I am.
And fans started to notice.
With Hunter in charge, he has a vision, he sees it through, and that's what you need.
The same guy they once saw as the corporate villain was finally giving them the version of wrestling they'd been begging for, because he didn't take over by force. He waited, he learned, and when the moment came, he was already in position.
I was never left in the dark. And as a wrestler entering his prime, but also a veteran wrestler, that makes you feel very wanted, very needed.
But now that he had the power, what would he do with it? He didn't try to change everything overnight. He didn't try to be loved. He didn't need to be. He just built.
But the way that this man has assumed the pencil of this company and has led us to a creative freedom backstage for the rest of my life, I will be a Paul Levesque guy.
When Vince left and Paul came and was in charge, Triple H, he really changed things.
Cody Rhodes returned, and while his journey began under Vince's watch, the seeds of what was to come were already planted.
I talked to Paul Levesque, Triple H, earlier. It's a special night for him. This was the beginning of something and marking the beginning of something new for him under his creative.
The bloodline became a cornerstone. The stories, the rivalries, the pacing, it all began to feel more authentic. And behind it all, Triple H, the same man who once buried talent, was now in charge of building it.
And he was the reason I came back, because I have the utmost belief in him, not just as a leader, but as a human being. Triple H has actually done it. He has given so many people that wouldn't have careers here, career.
He's an amazing storyteller, and he's a great teacher in that aspect. But Triple H took time to show me, literally show me, and he felt that I could better the product if I bettered myself inside the ring.
No more quick fixes, no more shortcuts, just long-term vision.
It's going to take a team. It's going to take everybody here, and we're all going to grind, and we're all going to make it do, because we have the greatest fans in the world.
Paul Levesque listens to the room, and then he collaborates, and he takes the best of everyone's ideas, and better than anyone I've ever seen, he edits them down into the format of the overall big picture.
He always encouraged me to be me and stay true to myself.
He told me the day I stop pretending to be who I think I should be and then start being myself, that's when I'll achieve real success.
I rode it till the wheels fell off. I gave it everything I had, and here I am. I have a passion for this business, and I can promise everybody out there, I'm gonna do everything I have in my power to make this better than they've ever seen before.
The fans didn't know what to expect. They never saw it coming, but those who had been there from the start knew this was the game he always played. He didn't just play the game, he mastered it.
Triple H, thank you for changing the world.
I think to a certain degree that, he saved professional wrestling to a big degree, I think.
And now he runs it.
Triple H's name rolled right off your tongue.
Yeah. Who is Triple H now in 2022?
It's Paul Levesque. He's the COO, head of creative, head of talent. He's the guy running the show.
What else is there to talk about?